rock crawl mode comes on, and it's holding it through the ABS system. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today on Jeepingmo we're going to install a JL Taser Mini. If you've been following the channel, you know we've changed out the front and rear end to a Rubicon takeoff. So we're having a lot of computer errors, and we've got the issue with big tires like most people with Jeeps do. And there's several other functions on this Taser that I want to show you. Right, so let me show you how to install. It's very quick and easy. And when you get it, the first thing you want to do is go out to AUTOMOTIVE's website, download their little configurator, and get the latest update. They send out different firmware updates. Now you'll have to have a Windows-based computer. Alright, so we went out to the AUTOMOTIVE website. So all their instructions are online, and since we have a manual, it looks like there's a supplement here for the manual as well. Alright, so that we can get to everything, we're going to take this kick panel off here. It should just snap off. We've had this off before. Okay, so it's going to be kind of hard to see, but there's a set of plugs right above the ODB2 plug right here. We got to unplug those, and those are what plugs into your Taser. Okay, so a little tip to get these out. If you run with big old sausage fingers, you can actually reach up under there and push it down with the small screwdriver, this latch, and you can actually, it'll catch on the latch and you can pull them out that way. That way you don't end up pulling your wires out. Alright, so we checked the firmware in this last night. Alright, so once this is plugged in, you can stuff that up there. You can put your cover back on. So when you're at the radio page, everything works off of this left button. So if I hold the left button down and they cancel, you'll see the menus pop up here. So this is where you get to everything. So you have a couple different functions, right? You have your vehicle settings, which is your gears and your tires and that kind of thing. Then you have your live functions, which you have to have the Taser plugged in for. So there's several of these out there. J-Scan, Smart Chips. You just got to figure out which one works best for you. Okay, so using the left arrow and a cancel allows you to go through the settings. So we're going to marry this real fast so that saves all my current settings. So it's going to count down. It's saving everything, and it should reboot the system. So this way, if you ever have to unplug it, everything's been saved. So they want you to reboot it. So now we're going to go through the settings. So there's a couple of settings on this that I wanted. So make sure that when you're doing this, you're continually holding down that left button. .3496, like that's the closest I can get. Alright, so next, gear ratio 345. So I know that I swapped this out with 410s. 410, there we go. Alright, next. For low, I'm not messing with. TPMS, I'm not messing with. And then it'll have your live features, which are only controlled by the Taser when it's in. Alright, so we're sitting here, it's in neutral, I don't have the clutch pressed in. For rock crawl mode, if I press over the left arrow and the minus, rock crawl mode comes on, and it's holding it through the ABS system. What's kind of nice is so I can push the clutch in, put it in gear, and then I don't have to try to hold the emergency brake. I can bring up the RPM, whatever I want, and then let off the button, and then we'll go. I think it's kind of a neat feature, especially if you drive a stick. Now, if you have to winch somebody, they have an anchor mode. So you press the left arrow, you'll pull the brakes, and you'll pump the brakes twice. And then you'll be in what's called anchor mode. So I can just let off the brake entirely, and I'll just sit here. And that goes along with the winch mode, which if I'm holding an arrow and I hit the resume button on the cruise, winch mode came on, and that's in your settings of how much RPM you want to increase. So right now I've got it set for 2000 RPM. All four wheels are locked, so it revs up, so any power draw for your winch is being covered by the increased RPM. And when you want it off, same thing, left arrow and resume, it'll turn winch mode off. It goes right back down. And when you're ready to turn this off, just hit your accelerator pedal and it turns off anchor mode. Now if you have your seatbelt in and you hold the brakes for more than 2 seconds, it'll lock all four brakes as well. So as long as you have the seatbelt in, keep in mind this is a stick, I don't have the emergency brake pulled. Now if I was outside wheeling, the emergency brake would definitely be pulled along with this. But it's holding all four wheels through the ABS system. Now in the manual, when you're sitting on a very steep hill with the emergency brake pulled and you're in gear, the only thing really holding you is compression. So it's definitely a nice feature. We don't have to chalk. I would always advise chalking the wheels, especially in dangerous situations, but it's a nice added way to lock all four. So one of the other nice features that are part of the live functions of the Taser is your start stop and your traction control. Whatever you have selected stays, I'll call it modal. It doesn't reset every time the vehicle restarts. So if you have it off, when you start it back up, it'll stay off. And same thing for track control, right? So if you have them both off, when you start it back up, they'll both stay off. Since this is a stick I printed out, I got to do this top gear procedure. Alright, so we're going to do the high gear. So they want you to be in 6th gear between 40 and 60 miles an hour. I'm sorry, between 40 and 80. Not let up on the accelerator for 30 seconds. So there's 6th gear. And they said if it doesn't do that, you can start having error codes in 6th gear if you drive a manual. Alright, so what'd you think of that? That JL Taser has a lot of functions, and we really only scratch the surface. You know, I love the rock crawl, the 4-wheel lockup, winch mode, and you can go in there and do a lot of other things like turn on and off different things for heated seats. If you have a Rubicon, how the lockers and sway bars are all controlled. There's a hood alarm in there. There's a ton of functionality. Just make sure you stay up on the firmware updates because they're always adding new stuff. You know, even did a turn assist. So if you have a JL or JT, it's kind of like the new function they put on the Bronco, to where as you're trying to turn, it'll lock up that one wheel and give you a much smaller turning radius. So just stay up on their website, keep your firmware updated, and that's all in there. Alright, so I hope you like this. Please leave me some comments. If there's anything you want to see on the channel, definitely would like the ideas. So until the next video, I'll see you when one of these will pop up. This is Jeepingmo. Alright, so here's a nice feature if you have a manual. When you're using a Taser, just put the seatbelt in. Keep in mind, I got the emergency brake on for test. It's in neutral. but through the through the braking system, you can see the ABS light on. It's holding all 4 brakes for me right now through the Taser, which, and you can see here that it actually shows that its brakes are on.